Welcome to the Stepmom Side with Alicia, the podcast for stepmoms ready to create the life they want and one they actually have a say in. Here we talk all things stepmom life and just a little bit more. Leave the superficial conversations at the door and get ready for perspective shifts and actionable advice to help you on your way to creating the life you want, one step at a time. Hey there, welcome back to the Stepmom Side podcast. This is episode number 2 in the mini series, the role clarity series. There we go, that came out totally weird. But this one is about obviously your role and how we're going to choose it and how we're going to figure it out, because most stepmoms don't choose their role. They just slide into it, and what ends up happening is they're just reacting to what's needed. They absorb expectations. And then one day they wake up feeling trapped. Definitely did. They feel trapped in a role they never consciously agreed to. They never actually signed up for. They actually don't want to do, but they feel like they have to do because they're better at it, because all of the things, right? So like we did in the last podcast episode, we're going to do an emotional deep dive here. There's an identity grief that happens when you don't recognize yourself in your own home. You ever do that? For me personally, I woke up and I felt like I was a shell of my former self, and I was like, what happened? Who am I? How did I get here? What is going on? I don't even recognize myself. I was super easygoing, very laid back, also very type A, about certain things, but could totally go with the flow, very outgoing, and I had just kind of became a recluse. But you start shape-shifting to keep the peace, right? It's just easier to not say anything. It's just easier to shut up and color. Have you ever heard that phrase? That saying, it's just easier to shut up and color, keep your head down and just keep coloring. You become easygoing in ways that actually don't feel easy. It's just easier, again, to keep the peace. So yeah, sure, it doesn't bother me that there's the 20th schedule change in the last 2 days, right? And that resentment builds and builds and builds. And it isn't because you're ungrateful. It's because you're disappearing. It's almost like you watch yourself being erased. I know that sounds crazy. If you're not a stepmom that's not going through this, you're whatever. I remember telling my husband, sometimes I feel like the forgotten toy that's just curled up in the fetal position, in the corner. And he was like, that might be an exaggeration. And I was like, no, legit. It's not an exaggeration. That's how I feel. There is no universal right way to be a stepmom. It doesn't matter if you are super type A and you're trying to be the control freak and do all the things. Obviously that doesn't work. But it doesn't matter if you're type Z and super laid back, super chill, super whatevs, I'm just gonna go with the flow. That's also still wrong, because it's, she doesn't care. There's no universal right way. It doesn't matter if you're somewhere in the middle. There's no right way. There is only the way that fits your nervous system and your values. So let's do a little work through exercise. I don't know if you notice a theme here, but we do a little bit of a deep dive. We do a little reframe, and then we do a work through exercise here. So I want you to ask yourself this. What role have I been defaulting to? What role have I been defaulting into? Am I the one that just picks up the slack? Am I the one that just, says nothing to keep things going? So what role have I been defaulting into? What role do I secretly wish I could play? What would you like it to be? What role feels sustainable for this season of life? Now write one sentence that defines your role. So an example could be, I am a supportive adult in this home, not the primary parent. I am a supportive adult in this home, but I don't do discipline. I am a fun aunt that takes on a mentor role. Whatever that looks like. So that's what I want you to do. Write one sentence that defines your role. And then now let's integrate it. So this week, notice one moment where you default into the old role and consciously choose your defined role instead. Expect it to feel really uncomfortable. Growth is so awkward, right? It's not this tick, 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 just constant up. Sometimes you stumble and you go back 20 steps. Sometimes you go back 30 steps. Sometimes it feels 2 steps forward and 30 steps backward. It's okay. Growth is awkward. It's uncomfortable. Sometimes that's how you know you're doing it the right way. So if choosing your role feels scary because you're used to keeping the peace or keeping everyone else comfortable, The Stepmom Side community is a safe place to practice showing up differently without being judged for it. Come join us. We can work on this together. You can post in there like, hey, I listened to podcast episode number 138. Here's, what I took. Like, here's how I have been defaulting into this role. Here's what I secretly wish I could play. And then here's what feels sustainable for this season of life. And then here's my one sentence that defines this role. Like, come in. Let us help you. You don't have to do this alone. I will chat with you next week. Thanks for taking time to listen to this week's episode. If anything was helpful or resonated with you, please share it on social media and tag me. I'm just at Alicia Crasco. And if you could leave a 5-star rating and review while you're at it, that would also be really helpful. And if you find yourself struggling with your stepmom journey and you want a little bit more support without the hefty price tag of coaching, you might want to check out the Stepmom Side community, which is my own private community for stepmoms, where you get to connect with other stepmoms around the world and myself, where I hold weekly office hours and monthly group coaching. It's kind of like you have your own personal coach in your own back pocket. Again, without that hefty price tag. See you next week.